Okay, I think we can start because we have a lot to cover today and we only have 30 minutes. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Noemi. I'm the operations director at Ruby Club and I'll be moderating this session. Modern researchers face a big challenge, managing complex qualitative data. From handling multilingual projects to working with formats like audio, video, and various documents, these tasks demand smarter and more efficient solutions. To explore these challenges and how to tackle them, I'm joined by Ilic, who is the CEO of Ruby Club, and Zsolt, who is the CTO of Ruby Club. During this session, please feel free to send your questions and I'll go through them during the Q&A session. Now, to kick things off, Ilic, could you share some of the key challenges that researchers face in their day-to-day life and work?
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction, Noemi, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar today. So when working on more complex qualitative projects, there is such a wide variety of touch points in the process, be it for the organization of the project or fieldwork, be it for sometimes outsourcing some of the components of fieldwork, like the transcription or translation of the conversation, or just like the physical organization when setting up focus group, etc. But at the end of the chain, the research part, like digging out the insight and preparing the report, is often tributary of all the organization that happen upstream. And sometimes, if you think in terms of ratio, you would want to spend 20% of your focus in organizing and collecting the data, and 80% of your focus on digging out proper insights from the data and preparing your reports. And very often, the reality of it is that you switch the ratios, like 80% of the effort is set in organizing everything, and then with whatever mental clarity you have at the end of the process, you've got 20% to try to get the best possible report for your client. So we really wanted to set out like to turn the table and provide a tool for researchers to allow them to do what they do best, spend less time doing the transactional part, and be more efficient in the process. And just before we start showing the tool, it's not just about efficiency and speed. It's also about changing the way researcher can do their work by being able to get into the data and get into the insights much earlier and much quicker in the process. Yeah, I know it sounds like a bit marketing cliche, but really redefining how teams can approach insight in the context of qualitative research. But that's really what we set out to do.
Yeah, thank you, Ilic. That's a very good introduction to the topic. So in this session, we will look at how Ruby Club's new product, LabIQ, helps researchers overcome these challenges, work more efficiently, and focus on delivering strategic insights. Now, with that in mind, let's take a closer look at how LabIQ addresses these challenges and transform the research process. Zsolt, could you walk us through the features and practical application of the tool?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, everyone. This will be more like the practical part of the webinar. So yeah, I will try to show you around what LabIQ can do for you. We always mention efficiency, how quickly we can do like really basic stuff that usually take a lot of time that the system basically tries to take care of. So on my screen, what you can see is like a predefined demo project that I'm going to show you around. And basically, first we go through all the basics. And yeah, for now, let's focus on how you can save time on basic tasks. What is really important that like LabIQ was basically built with the mindset of the researcher's needs. And yeah, I will show basically what that means. So on the screen, what we can see right now is like we have two parts. The left-hand side on the sidebar, we can see the actual projects listed. Currently, we have just one, and we will dig deeper in that. And the body of the page basically includes all the possibilities that you can do. This is like really simple. Let me show you around real quick. So yeah, overview basically tries to educate everyone like how the project has been set up, what tools or what methodologies we apply when it comes to the analysis part. But first, which is more important, how we kick off, how we start building up our projects. All of our projects basically mean that yeah, these are huge repository of your data sources, whatever format these are in. And the actual data sources can be like interview recordings, any kind of documents like reports or the existing reports out from your surveys or from any areas. And here, what we can see when we navigate to the sources is the list of your already uploaded data files, basically. And the first half, the tiny microphone tells that these are actual recordings, and the rest of the documents are, rest of the sources are basically documents that we have uploaded here. So first, which is like the most interactive part when it comes to transcription of media recordings, is like we have quite a simplified interface where we can look through all the conversations that you have uploaded in the past. And next to that, we can already have some really brief summaries. Speaker profiles are also being mentioned here. Like the system is capable of identifying different speakers in your conversations, which is really important. And then once we have all the participants here, we can start analyzing each. So you can have a good idea like, okay, this participant talked about this and the role in the conversation was this and that. Yeah, so this gives you like a really brief, high-level understanding what has happened in this conversation. If we start the recording on the right-hand side, what is really useful is you can follow basically where we currently are in the actual conversation. So it's very good for validations, or if you want to grab some messages out from context, or you want to listen to like the tone of the conversation, you can easily navigate in the recordings by clicking either on the text or just simply searching in the video file. Also, what we have in this interface is like, again, like a really simple summary, and we can go to another one as well, which is basically like a really high level summary specifically only for this recording. Sometimes it can also be really useful, but yeah, that's also just, like have a high level understanding. If you want to grab some thoughts out of it, yeah, that's also like a good use case for that. It's also important to mention that so far we have seen only English text, but it's really important that we have a built-in translation feature in the platform. And if you upload, for example, a Japanese recording or media file, you can see all the original text as well, but also like the translated version under each other, which can be really handy when you want to, like look for evidences, you want to look for who told and what, and want to have like an exact understanding what have been told by the actual speakers. And yeah, basically, the features are pretty much the same. Unfortunately, you cannot hear the actual recording, but yeah, it actually follows what is being told in the conversation. And yeah, finally, in the sources area, what is also really important that we want you to be able to export anything. So if you would be happy, like, exporting any of the data into Word documents, just to have a copy of any of your sources or the brief analysis as well, you can freely export anything on the top of the screen. Yeah, and how we get to this position. Uploading a data source is like really simple. The only thing you need to do is click on add a new data source, and here you have two options. One of them, like, you can upload a recording, and the other one is like just a simple document that can be a report, that can also be like a transcript that has been prepared by a third party, for example. And yeah, once you have made this selection, you just need to give the source a name that you can use to identify easily your actual data source. The upcoming section is something I will talk about a little bit later. And the final thing is you can select the language. By the way, we can support 53 languages for now for translations. And yeah, the last step is you need to upload the media file here. And yeah, by doing that, the upload will be started and all the processing steps will happen behind the scenes. When everything is completed, you will be notified by email, for example, like, okay, the processing has been completed, because this process, like the pre-processing step of the upload phase, takes from 3 to 5 minutes usually. So we don't want you to wait here, but you can even leave the page or you can upload multiple sources at the same time to be processed. And yeah, these are the sources, and just wanted to show you like how what other type of documents we can have. So as you can see, for example, we have PDFs uploaded as well. These include like reports related to the actual topic of the project. And yeah, here you can basically scroll through what this is about just for better understanding. And of course, we have summaries in this section as well.
Zsolti, if I may just make a point here. One thing that we've done with our clients with great success is typically if you have first a quantitative project running and you're already into the reporting part of your quantitative as you kick off the qualitative part of your project. If you've prepared some slides, if you have some insight from your quant campaign, you can actually upload your quantitative report into the tool and start including it as additional data context for the context of your project. So the project doesn't become just like LabIQ doesn't become just a repository for your qualitative work, but you can bring all the different pieces together within the context of your project, which really goes with what I was mentioning at the start of the webinar, like spending so much time like stitching all the pieces together. So this really helps. This is a nice way to go about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. All right, so this is just about the sources. So at this point, you have a repository of your complete database, let's say. And now, yeah, it's time to let's do something with it. So the next step is the analysis bit, where the system can show its real power. So all the pre-processing steps created us like a structured database behind the scenes, where we have done like many different steps, pre-processing steps, such as it does like a sentiment analysis across all of the sources. Also, it does like a text classification task, which tries to identify basically what themes are being mentioned in the actual projects. And the theme list can be specified by the users of the system, and the system tries to follow basically the themes that we have specified right at the beginning. And as a result, what we can see on the screen, for example, is the result of the classification task. So what does it mean? If we, like as a client, decide that, okay, these are the key themes that I want to track in my qualitative interviews, for example, and the reports and the quant reports as well, the system will try to identify all the themes and try building up an actual chart out from it. And the result is like you can see the distribution of each of the themes, like how each of the themes compare, for example, in terms of the mentions. And yeah, that's the very first outcome, what we can immediately have. And other than that, what we can also see is an executive summary, which will try to sum up all the main findings that we have across all of the uploaded sources. And that's very important to mention, like here, like the full set of your data has been analyzed. And also what we can see is the highlights bit. So the system tries to find the key parts that worth basically taking a look at. And yeah, these are being listed out. So these are also like some sort of themes or highlights that we can dig deeper in the data set. And in this project's case, let's check one example, for example, the shortages. And by clicking on each, we will have an explanation like why we identified this as an actual highlight to be mentioned in the report. And we also provide some evidences as with quotes, for example, what we can see here. So the system will always try to be evidence-based, and not just trying, but it's 100% evidence-based, because anything that's being mentioned in the reports, in the summaries, or anywhere during the analysis phase, the system will give you basically actual quotes right from your data sources. And these links will basically guide you to the actual data source where you can find this exact same quote mentioned in any of your sources. So yeah, this is one area what can be really handy in the analysis. But let's move on to the themes, because this is where the real power comes in the platform. So yeah, now we have a high level understanding, like from the overall data source, we know that like we have different topics, different areas that have been discussed or mentioned in any of the sources. But if we want to learn more about the specific themes that we have specified for the project, we just need to click on each of the themes on the left-hand side. And then basically the system tries to dig one level deeper. What that means is that we have a similar layout, and we also have like the highlights. But what is really important that now the system focuses exclusively on the given theme. And this is basically possible by doing the classification, like the theme detection, when when the pre-processing steps have been performed. And by having the information like when and who mentioned like the mental health awareness, for example, in the conversations, then the system can start learning from these bits as well. And what's different in the theme section is the sentiment area. So we can have a good understanding of the polarity or the positive, neutral, and negative sentiments distribution. And here what we can see, like, okay, this is not really positive context, let's say. And yeah, this is basically like a result of the selected context, because this is all about mental health and the solution findings and how people basically manage their lives in this context. Okay, and the same here. So again, quotes for each of the statements. And what's really important to mention here is the themes can be changed anytime. So if you set up your project and you decide, hey, I forgot one additional theme that I really wanted to learn more on, you can change the project settings anytime and the system will reprocess your full data set again, and you will then have an extended view of your themes as well. Okay. This is like, at this point now, we have a lot of knowledge across our full data set, but researches about in the quant world, qualitative world is not that simple. So it's quite common that we want to learn more from a subset of our data sets, for example, and we have the possibility to segment or and do filtering based on the given segments across your data set. So to be able to present this, let me go one step back. And when we upload the data source, I just skipped one really important part, which is the metadata section. So when you upload your document, you can decide whether you would like to give some additional tags which are not being mentioned, for example, in the conversations, not being recorded anywhere, but you have this information, in hand, for example, in the office only or later on. And that can be, for example, like the location of an interview, for example, or like the gender of the group of the conversation. So yeah, here what we have is like we can select the location, for example. So if we know that this recording is made in the UK, for example, before uploading, we can select this. And yeah, we also know that this will be, for example, like a YouTube video, but this can be any other type of filter options as well. So yeah, it's fully up to the user's creativity. So yeah, once we have set these additional tags for all of your sources, we gain additional power here because now we can open up the filtering section of the interface. And what we can do here is to perform the analysis on a subset of your database, given your predefined filters, basically. So if you want to learn more, for example, about the Japanese content, you just need to select, and by clicking Save here, everything what we can see on the screen will only be performed in this subset of data. And that's why if we have a lot of filters already implemented when we upload sources, the combination of the filters and the options, what we can do in this section is nearly infinite because you can always add extra tags if you want for each of the sources. And yeah, that's how you can start segmenting. That's how you can dig deeper in your data in smaller groups as well. And by switching between, for example, the Japanese and the UK data, we can already see that the chart keeps changing here. And that's because of the filtering behind the scenes. Yeah, same for the themes. So yeah, it's just about the filtering part, which differs. And yeah, that's it for the filters for now. And here what we can see is like a real-time response generation. Yeah, and as we can already see, like the actual summaries are also telling that, okay, this is now facing with the UK set of data, let's say, and yeah, then we can start learning this part of the data as well. Now let's go back a little bit and do one more thing, which will be my final point in the demonstration. This is something that gives you like 100% flexibility in the system, and this is the talk to your data feature. If you don't find your answer, the answers that you're looking for example, in these reports or the key highlights, you can always start using like the interactive bit of the platform, which is called the talk to your data, which will basically act as an actual chatbot that will start answering all of your questions. But what is critical to mention that everything is fully based on the actual data set without any hallucinations and without any background knowledge, let's say, of the commonly known large language models, for example. But this will be fully evidence-based, what we will see in the data. So a good starting point could be, we can ask simply like, what is the data about? Because yeah, maybe it can be that like that's the first time we have met with this interface and with the data source. So that can also be like a good training material, let's say, how you can learn what's uploaded in your data sets, how you can go further, for example, in your analysis. And yeah, basically that can be an amazing starting point. And if you want to be more specific, so now I can just simply use one of the answers from here. So if I want to learn more about mental health and exercises, for example, then we can dig deeper and the system will start answering more precisely, which is really important. And behind the scenes, the system starts looking for relevant information right from the database. And with this filtered set of data, then having all the evidences to start answering, the system basically starts generating the actual response in a formatted way. And on the right-hand side, as I mentioned before, it's always important for us that always give evidence. And this part is like the right-hand side of the screen. So here, all the answers that the system gives will have some related comments or quotes also included on the right-hand side that you can immediately use, for example, in your reports and anywhere else, basically. And one final thought is the chat also respects your filters. So for example, if you select Japan in the filter section and you then ask again another question, like what is the actual data about? Maybe it would be mentioned, oh, okay, here. Like it also mentions like, okay, it already see only Japanese data sets, so you can start learning much more from the Japanese set of your data. But that can be anything basically based on your filters.
And John, if I may, one critical aspect as well is that if you ask something which is not really present in the data, if you don't have robust evidence, like the system will tell you, like it will tell you, I don't know. And if you've tried to play with off-the-shelf solutions for Google, for example, it will make up stuff like crazy, like completely hallucinate or exaggerate the kind of findings based on a small evidence in the data. So here we like the tool will be objective enough to tell you, but it doesn't know if it doesn't have like enough evidence to back up or to answer your question.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and that was my final practical thought, basically. But there's one more very important bit, which is mostly related to data security. And it's quite common that people tell that, okay, something can be done, for example, in ChatGPT or any of the commonly used large language models tool sets as well. But it's like critical to be mentioned that here what we have is like a fully controlled and supervised data security protocol, let's say. So all of your data, what is being used or processed, are fully isolated and in like basically in an isolated bucket where you can have decisions like about data retention, how we should keep or how we should process the data. So that's one really big difference between any of the other platforms that can somewhat do some kind of analysis bits, but not in a structured way. So yeah, basically what we can say is what you upload here, we will take care of your data in a secure and managed environment as well. So yeah, that's basically one of the highest priority of the system because yeah, in this context, that's something we should never forget.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Zsolt, for showcasing the capabilities. As we've seen, LabIQ is not just a tool, it's a trusted partner that helps researchers achieve clarity and efficiency in their work. So now, since we are at the end of the session, I'd like to share our exclusive Black Friday deal. Just now, we are giving 40% off the price of a one-off project, and everyone who registered to the webinar will receive a code via email when we are sending out the recordings, and they can use these codes to access the discount. This will be available until the end of December, so please feel free to use it and let us know if you have any more questions. Thank you for everyone who sent questions during the session. I think I managed to answer all of them, but feel free to reach out if you still have a couple of questions. Thank you for everyone for joining our session. I hope you find it interesting, and I hope to see you soon in our upcoming webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.